The following is rated not safe for work. It contains strong language, adult situations, and lots of spoilers. Discretion is advised.
In the criminal justice system, cinematic-based offenses are considered especially heinous. The dedicated attorneys who investigate these villainous films are members of an elite squad known as the Reels of Justice. These are their stories.
Order, please, order. The Reels of Justice is now in session. Judge Big Ben Haslar presiding. We all rise for the Honorable Judge Haslar. Be seated. Welcome to the Reels of Justice. Today we're hearing the case of The People versus 12 Monkeys, a 1995 sci-fi feature following James Cole as he leaps through time to learn more about a virus outbreak that would doom humanity. For those of you unfamiliar with our court proceedings, we are here to determine if this film is guilty of being a bad movie. As always in this courtroom, films are considered excellent until proven awful, and the burden of proof lies upon the prosecution to prove beyond the shadow of reasonable doubt that this film is guilty. Mr. Dylan J. Schlender, you are representing the prosecution. You may present your opening statement.
Thank you, Your Honor. This should be easy. I only need one monkey to flip, and I can get the other 11. All right, look, people. This movie is bananas. The monkey business in this movie is centered around a form of time travel that is, frankly, hard to stand up to scrutiny. Director Terry Gilliam claimed he wanted the audience to question Willis's sanity. Is he really time traveling? But that is jettisoned so quickly by the fact that, spoilers, Willis is clearly time traveling. It's not whether this effectively addresses the themes and messages the director purported to have in this movie will be handled in further argumentation. Ultimately, we are left with a movie that is just too long, too jumbled, and at the end of it all, not particularly interesting. This almost certainly has to do with the fact it was inspired by a French short film. That's right. At the end of the day, the movie
of the same name?
La Jetée. No, it's called Jetée.
La Jetée.
La Jetée. You got to really put that French stank on it. You can't move your hands like the Italian accent, though, so I don't know what we're supposed to do. Curl imaginary mustaches? I got nothing. At the end of the day, the movie is simply too confused to resonate in a meaningful, and ultimately, it will evaporate like drops of water on the hot skillets of our mind. The movie leaves the viewers asking all the wrong questions, and that's why we will find it guilty today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schlender. Appearing on behalf of the defense is the man who was Riz before it was cool, J.D. Ryznar. Please present your opening statement.
12 Monkeys is a good movie. It stars two big movie stars. You can't beat that. It's made by an auteur. You can listen, in any time period, you can't beat a good auteur movie, and especially in the 1990s when thrillers got real boring. And finally, everything that the prosecutor said about time travel being confusing, that's what makes the movie work. You're supposed to feel as confused and crazy as the characters, and boy, oh boy, do you ever after watching this film. It's a good movie. It makes you feel. It doesn't make you cry or laugh or anything, but it makes you feel something. That's really all we want out of our motion pictures, isn't it, people? That's what makes a movie good. Anything that does anything but make you bored.
I felt something once. I liked it.
Damn it, Judge.
Thank you, Mr. Ryznar. Mr. Schlender, you may present your first exhibit.
Thank you, Your Honor. Let's dive into the time travel plot because it has the potential to be interesting. For you see, it's a fact-finding mission, but to what end? There is seemingly no ramifications for sending back multiple people, and it appears to be easy to send people back through time. Yes, there's the throwaway lines about it messing with people's heads, and that just has us raising our eyebrows. Well, why send prisoners then? Surely training some good, well-fed agents would be a better play. there seems to be at least a few options that we see. The guards escorting Willis from his cell. Why he's in prison, we don't really know. Why they have prisoners in the future when everyone's dead anyway. Who's to say? They have time travel, but they couldn't find a cure to a virus.
They stole a loaf of
What are you
bread.
going to do? But anyway, my point, Your Honor, is good time travel movies answer a lot of these questions better. We can look at like Terminator or Back to the Future. They give us a clear understanding of the mechanics. In 12 Monkeys, director Terry Gilliam said in an interview, he wanted us to, and actually JD just said this too, he wanted us to wonder if Willis was just crazy. But that's really just not teased out enough because he jumps all over the place. And we have no reason to believe he's mentally ill and confined to an institution. I mean, we see him go from 90 to 96 to World War I. He gets found in a book. I mean, it's just never teased out like, ooh, what if he's really trapped in that institution? You know, we don't get that enough, even though the movie is painfully long. So ultimately, the movie slouches into the comfortable trope of the time traveling being one of the key things that allowed the future to get so messed up. Just like Terminator, just with none of the action or tension. It eschews originality for safety.
Ooh, shoes. Mr. Ryznar, does Gilliam take an easy way out here, not explaining the rules of his time travel?
Absolutely not. No, it's a good thing. It's a refreshing thing. How many time travel movies have we seen? So many of them, and every single time there's so much shoe leather to be like, this is a fucking flux capacitor, and then you gotta go 88, and all the rules, you gotta have plutonium, or I came, here I show up naked, and I have to get clothes from tough guys. I always find a guy with a leather jacket wherever I go. But here, you don't ever see him come or go, and it's kind of nice. It's just like, guess what? It's time travel. It's going to happen. Boom. It happened. Boom. It unhappened. He's back. I don't know how it happened. I'm confused. This is good. I'm supposed to be confused. The director is achieving what he wants. This movie would be so weighed down with any logic at all to the time travel mechanism. And you say?
Well, to follow up, what about the prosecution's saying that him being crazy in an institution is just like sort of a first act thing that they kind of drop?
I don't think they drop it. I think the character is confused throughout, even though at some point, we're supposed to sympathize with Cole, and then also with what's her name? What's the actress's name? Madeline Stowe. We're supposed to sympathize with Madeline Stowe. So we're trying to figure out what this guy's all about. So we go kind of back and forth, and the unsurety of both characters sort of projects onto us as an audience, and it kind of makes it for a fun trip. I felt crazy throughout. I felt insane, and I think that's just a lot of what Terry Gilliam brings. It's a lot of like the purposeful confusion with being vague about the time travel. So yeah, I think the crazy house stuff at the beginning kind of just establishes a vibe, a very unsettling, upsetting vibe that continues throughout the movie, and I think that's a very good thing.
It definitely is.
The world made sense an hour ago.
Well, no, I think part of the issue is that we just see Bruce Willis's character arrive, covered in mucus and spitting up and fighting cops for whatever reason, and which leads him to be institutionalized. I'm not necessarily sure a man in his condition would have been institutionalized as opposed to, just left in prison, or jail rather, but that's neither here nor there, I suppose. But the issue with the time travel is it just becomes very obvious that there's time travel, and so for Gilliam to hang his hat on like, oh, well, it was supposed to be an open-ended question. I mean, I think he closed the door on it pretty early. So that's really just my point about the time travel. I mean, yes, it would be nice to understand the mechanics a bit more. I understand why they didn't do it, but again, you're just watching the movie now, and this happens a lot with time travel movies. We've talked about this with like the Terminator, like Salvation and things like this. You're just asking these questions about the mechanics of the world, and the movie's not giving you enough of a story to sink your teeth into for these to not be distractions is what I'm saying. Yeah, so you're wondering, well, how does the time traveling actually work? Like, how are they able to pinpoint getting him to exactly where he needs to be in 96? But then other times they're so far off, he's on a completely different continent in France in World War I, where they just happen to get a picture of him too, of course. I mean, God, it just strains so much credulity. You have to suspend a truly prodigious amount of disbelief for some of these things to work.
Oh, well, I think Mr. Ryznar's addressed that. Would you like to move on to your next exhibit?
I certainly would, Your Honor. So the actual army of the 12 Monkeys is led by Brad Pitt, a Brad Pitt that is woefully out of place in the grand scheme of this movie. His character kind of harkens back to what we saw, like Donald Pleasant's character in THX 1138. He's a sledgehammer.
Sledgehammer. No,
he's a sledgehammer. Oh, Sledgehammer is actually my wrestling name. So, Sledgehammer of modern social commentary that ultimately has nothing to do with the ultimate motivations of the story. Now, I want to say it's fitting that we are discussing 12 Monkeys so soon after the death of Paul Ehrlich, because he wrote The Population Bomb, a book whose damage to humanity is still being calculated, but whose damage to movies is easily quantifiable via films like 12 Monkeys. Because you see, prophets are to be foretelling and forthtelling, but Ehrlich, and his disciples like Gilliam, they're just simply wrong. Terry Gilliam said he wanted this movie to talk about things like the thesis of the population bomb, that that humanity is getting too out of control. And like I said, devastating effects in the real world, and it leads to uninteresting cinema. The fact of the matter is there are not too many humans. The planet is not going to stop sustaining us. The doomsayers have always been wrong. But you can already hear the chorus. Oh, maybe they're right this time. Yeah, he was saying that in 1995, though. We see this so often, the fear-mongering just not playing out. We passed 2019 without Blade Runner. We passed 2022 without Soylent Green, and I suspect we will pass 2039 without 12 Monkeys. And hell, if I'm wrong, everyone's going to be dead, so no one can say I told you so.
I'll say it.
Mr. Ryznar, is Gilliam like on the same wavelength as a supervillain here?
Same wavelength as a supervillain?
With this population boom and all this doom and gloom and all that.
Paul Ehrlich is a supervillain. That's fine.
I agree that the population bomb is a myth, and the more that our population expands, the more society adapts to that, to the point where now we realize that if there is a major downgrade in population, society falls apart. And that's a lot of what you see, a lot of that in popular culture in the last 20 years or so. You see it with Leftovers, you see it with Avengers, seeing like, a big chunk of the population goes away, things get fucked up because we can't function anymore. The people who turn the lights on and off aren't there anymore, and nobody else knows how to do it. Food rots, we can't grow as much, things go wrong. And I think that's what this movie is about. It's about how shitty things get if we lose a huge chunk of our population, which makes it interesting to me. And I didn't know about this, that Gilliam was like kind of a student or an admirer of this Ehrlich guy in the population bomb theory, because it seems like he's arguing the opposite here, that, a big healthy population sustains us as a society, where it's really, really bad if we lose a lot of people at once. Then it turns into a Dutch angle apocalyptic future. Ball hang down from
new band name, I call it.
Yeah, so I think when even if we look at more recent events like the global pandemic of COVID-19, right? We came out on the other side. No time travel required. So
that we know of.
Ooh, I like that. Man. So what Gilliam is doing is just so fashionable to be dyspeptic and dystopic in cinema when it comes to these things, right? And then you'll have people say it's more relevant now than ever, but it simply isn't. And the fact of the matter is, people keep saying things like that about movies like Blade Runner, 12 Monkeys, or Soylent Green, that it's now relevant more than ever. But it simply isn't. And with that not being true, it is fair to question the value of a movie like 12 Monkeys and its stated commentary, and I feel it's a failure of intention.
Mr. Ryznar, any Anything you'd like to tack onto your argument there?
I think I made my argument against that argument. We can just go back and forth all day, or you can just decide I'm
That's
right.
what he's wanting. That's what he's wanting.
All right, well, I
don't
guess
fall into
we'll
his trap.
We'll let the jury decide. I do.
Well, please proceed to your last exhibit.
I am a verbal pugilist after all. All right, I got another point here, Your Honor. And it's actually something that we agree on, the prosecution and I, but I think to different ends. And the movie is just too long and uncomfortable to watch. I would describe it as a dystopia of Dutch angles, I believe. I just came up with that. Yes. And,
What the hell? What the hell?
Oh, okay. So the interesting, at the heart of 12 Monkeys, there's kind of an interesting idea. Because, I mean, personally, I love time travel. So anything that has to do with time travel has the potential to be pretty interesting. But it has to be handled with care. Well, the book, though. But that's neither here nor there. So it gives up on anything interesting, again, just to give us the mumble-mouthed Bruce Willis and an over-the-top Brad Pitt, who, again, doesn't actually fit into the movie at all. The supporting players are not much stronger. The capable Morse, he plays the bad guy doctor. He basically has, he's just not subtle at all, short of a neon sign over his head saying, "I'm the bad guy." I mean, like, it becomes pretty clear what's going on. And we had mentioned Stowe before, and her performance is just so overwrought and lacking the gravitas of Vertigo's Kim Novak, who the movie invites us to compare her to by having Vertigo actually in this movie. Here's an idea, Gilliam. Never put better movies in your movie to invite these comparisons. It will just not work. Now, funny enough, this movie is a piece with the last movie we discussed with JD, actually, Alien Resurrection. It's that Euro-inspired sci-fi that was sweeping Hollywood in the late 90s that for some reason they thought would never end. And frankly, very few of those movies have stood the test of time, though ironically the one that did also stars Bruce Willis, The Fifth Element. I feel comfortable saying that. So 12 Monkeys just represents the worst of that movement. It's too long, narratively incoherent, and ultimately banal in its messaging. The beard strokers out there may say not getting it is the point, but it's not about not getting it. It's about there not being anything to get.
Does Ryan have a beard?
No,
Mr. Ryznar, do we? Oh, okay. Do we prefer American time travel films made the American way?
Maybe. I mean, they're definitely like more fun and less challenging, especially the classics. Do we prefer them? It depends on what you're looking for. Nice, clean fun, yeah. But if you want something challenging, this is the perfect kind of thing. This reminds me of, I saw, there's a small independent film, I wish I could bring it up, about time travel. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Basically, guys build a box.
Primer.
Yeah, Primer. It kind of reminds me of Primer, just in kind of the small... This movie tries to have huge stakes, but it still feels like small and about characters. But it kind of feels like that, just kind of claustrophobic. The time travel is extremely unpleasant. It kind of makes you sick.
Made me sick.
There's something to be said about that, about having a film having that kind of effect on you. In general, do I prefer American sci-fi? I couldn't tell you. But in the case of this movie, as I said before, if it had a cleaner, more American feel to it, I think it would have been to this film's detriment. I think Terry Gilliam got exactly what he was going for here.
So I want to push back on the idea that the movie's challenging, because I ultimately don't think it is. It actually is remarkably straightforward once you could kind of stop and think about it. The only problem is while you're watching the movie, you're thinking about the inconsistencies, the bad acting, like how does this time travel work? Why is he in World War I? But ultimately, it is a very boilerplate, unoriginal time travel trope of the time traveling is what caused the future, right? Like that was the issue. Like you're not going back or fixing or changing anything. You're going back and you're actually making the thing happen. And again, we've seen that before in much cleaner and neater packages. So if Gilliam wanted to take a swing, I mean, that's the kind of thing people would say about this movie. Like, oh, he took a swing, he did something weird. Did he though? Because when you strip away the Dutch angles and the harsh lighting and all the mucus and spit, it's a very boilerplate time travel movie that's frankly just not interesting because there's no tension or stakes.
Mr. Ryznar?
There's stakes. 99% of the world is going to die. That's enormous stakes. And there's also the stakes of just wanting Bruce Willis's character to win, just wanting Cole to have a win. I mean, he's just trying to do a thing. He's trying to get out of jail. Everybody thinks he's crazy. Of course they do. How do you tell the truth and not sound crazy in this situation? So he's got a real uphill battle to fight. So you got a character with something to fight for, and you know what that is. He's got to you sort of know what that is. He's got to get the information back to the future that they need. So yeah, that's all I would say.
Yeah, I mean, he does get his pardon at the end, but then his buddy shows up and gives him the gun. You know, like they really cram everything in at this last bit at the airport, and that's probably has to do with the original French film Le Jeté, where essentially, and it's gonna be spoilers for that French movie, I suppose, but frankly, no one would.
Oh no! Let me cover my ears.
Yeah, I know, right? Where essentially it's the same idea. The guy sees himself get killed as a kid, and this is supposed to be, I don't know, profound. I mean, I don't know. It completely lacks profundity to me. Maybe the jury will think differently, but it just seems pretty.
Never suspected.
Right, and he's supposed. You know, you can almost just see Gilliam tipping his fedora going, aha, I bet you didn't see that one coming. And we'd be like, but what does it mean? It doesn't matter. You know, so that rushed ending, and also, how did he not recognize himself? He recognizes her from the dream with the blonde, but he doesn't recognize this garish Hawaiian shirt that he's seen get shot a million times, and he's going to wear that. There's just so many things wrong with the characters and their motivations. And, you know, seemingly from place to place. I mean, what does Willis literally say? He goes, oh, they picked me because my memory's so good. Well, it's not good enough to realize you're putting on your own death. I mean, I give up, you know? Wait, no, I don't give up. I rest.
I win.
Damn it.
The prosecution is rested. Mr. Ryznar, you may present any exhibits in defense of the film.
Sure. Okay. I got to do a lot of rebuttal that gave a lot of my points, but let's see. So
yeah, that's fine. It tends to happen.
Okay. First of all, the movie starts with the image of the 12 monkey symbol, and what is that image? It is from the toy Barrel of Monkeys. Right off the bat, this movie says we are going to be a barrel of monkeys. We're going to have a fun time.
That's
what
what
it
it
said. That take hold of you, if you stop thinking so hard like the prosecution did and let the movie wash over you, you will have a barrel of monkeys. But if you sit there thinking, oh, plot, oh, does this character make sense? Oh, you're not going to enjoy it as much. You might as well throw your barrel of monkeys right in the fire and play solitaire or something boring like that, or dig a ditch, which seems to be what the prosecution was doing when he was watching this delightful film.
You say let it wash over you, JD, but that's the problem. You go into it, you like, look, like, again, I go into these movies, I have to keep an open mind. It's the nature of the show. You let it wash over you, but there's just nothing there. It's so tepid. So then the only thing you can do is start asking the questions that the movie's not interested in. Like, well, how does the time travel actually work? You know, like what's up with Bruce Willis? You know, so I understand where you're coming from. Like, I would love to just like get really sucked into the movie, but it does nothing to grab you and command your attention. So it gives you time to think about these otherwise unresolved questions.
He didn't grab his monkey.
Well, you must have been watching it with a tilted head, because those Dutch angles were extremely compelling. What a creative choice that is. What a disorienting choice that is. You don't know what's going on because life isn't like that, right? Unless you watch movies with your head tilted.
That'll fill Earth with like a word.
So, you know, you're going into this world and you're feeling crazy. And it's what Gilliam wants you to feel. You're feeling crazy to the point where when you're in the insane asylum, you got to deal with Brad Pitt, whose performance is completely off the wall in all the right ways. Brad Pitt is the human Dutch angle in this movie. He is so off.
That's a good
He is
line.
so wrong. And he is so good looking. He makes crazy cool and sexy, which we don't get very often in films. He's compared to all the other crazies, which are just off the wall. It's really funny. I love this movie because it just like they have lowly paid extras, and Gilliam must have been like, no, act crazy. Here's a suit and here's some bubbles, blow them. Like, none of these crazies made any sense. And in an age, it took place in an age before we got all woke about how to depict nut jobs. So it's refreshing to see such an offensive performance as the one that Brad Pitt and all the extras give. There's also a lot of good. I'm sorry. Did you need me to stop we can argue?
Well, maybe, Mr. Prosecutor, would you like to rebut the acting, particularly with Brad Pitt?
Barrel of monkeys.
Well, I as I said earlier about Pitt, is like I feel his character it feels very dropped in and inserted into this movie to make that social commentary about, like the animal testing, maybe like this idea of revolution and anarchy and stuff, and ultimately be a red herring, or a red monkey in this case, I suppose, for the ultimate conclusion of the movie. And I do feel like he's just out of place. I feel like by him being so crazy, it also takes some of the air out of the balloon of whether Willis is crazy or not, because Willis seems very sane next to Brad Pitt, so if, again, part of what Gilliam has said in multiple interviews is like he wants you questioning whether or not Bruce Willis is really doing all this stuff. And when he has to play off of Brad Pitt's craziness, and Willis is a pretty reserved actor to begin with, like he can really dial it down, and that's what he did in this film. So I feel like it ultimately hurts what Gilliam's stated objectives were by having Brad Pitt be so big.
I think full retard.
I think Bruce Willis was absolutely unhinged in this movie, especially with the Bruce Willis line of calm, the sort of like median performance that he gives. I think he's completely off the wall, and it was really upsetting to me because what we want out of Bruce Willis is that stoicism. We want that like rock solid dude that like we can count on and get behind, and he'll save the day. But Cole is just off balance, and he's sick all the time, and he's throwing up, and he doesn't know what's happening. And to see Bruce Willis go through that's sort of like putting me in the same place that watching Brad Pitt, especially in those days when you didn't really know who he was, this young guy just doing this over-the-top performance. He's making me feel uneasy. You're hoping that Bruce Willis can be the grounding force, but he's going nutballs as well in a more subtle way, but enough to throw the audience off and make us feel uneasy. So I think Bruce Willis's performance is perfect, and I think Brad Pitt makes the perfect foil to like raise the bar super high, so Bruce Willis doesn't have to go that hard and can still give an unsettling performance in a more reserved way.
Teamwork. Did you have any further exhibits?
Just another argument against whether or not Brad Pitt's performance is good or not. He has been crowned by the Hollywood Foreign Press Association as having given a good performance. He took home a Golden Globe for that, and a big applause for Brad for that. Academy Award nomination too. That's nothing to sneeze at. He couldn't win, but that's what the Golden Globes are for. Second place prize. Let me think.
It's harder to get on your award shelf, though. It's fatter.
Yeah, I guess if I could just put a pin on the Brad Point, the Brad Point. Wow, Brad Pitt.
I like that. I like that.
The Brad Point coming in hot. It's not that like look, he did good for what it was. Yes, he's pretty believably crazy. I'm just saying it hurt the ultimate message of the movie. Didn't really work with everything else we were seeing. It really felt out of place.
And I think that's what the character is. I think that's how the character is supposed to feel. Completely out of place. Completely tonally off. I mean, clearly that's what they were going for. you don't just get that kind of performance out of an actor for accidentally. At some point, you tell him, calm it
he
down.
took away his cigarettes. That's how he was able to get it.
That's why his fingers are always moving like that. He's always reaching for cigarettes that aren't there. All right. I also want to point out Bart the Bear is in there, an iconic actor from the 90s movies. Any chance you have to get Bart the Bear in a 90s movie, you know it's a very special film. He was kind of out of nowhere, but yeah, I recognized him. I'm like, that's Bart the Bear, isn't it? And I was right. And yeah, you know, and even
for moments like that.
Yeah, and even for as unhinged as it is, and like purposefully confusing and kind of off the rails, it still has that good feel of like a 90s box office thriller, just a solid 90s thriller. I was on the edge of my seat in the last act. I didn't know if they were going to get that red-haired guy or not. I don't know what was going to happen. I'm still not exactly sure what happened, but I don't care. I don't care that I'm confused. I don't care that I'm confused whether or not the lady on the plane with the red-haired guy was going to stop him or help him out. I don't know. So I just enjoyed the ride, and I found it to be a very entertaining film. It was the first time I had seen it since the theaters. It was a completely different movie from what I remember, but I was pleasantly surprised nevertheless.
Yeah, I think it is worth pointing out how lax airport security was. I mean, guy literally has mystery files, just opening them up, putting them under the guy's nose. Could you imagine?
Didn't have to take his shoes off or anything. All right. Well, both sides have rested their cases. The attorneys will now present their closing arguments. Mr. Schlender, you may begin.
Thank you, Your Honor. Look, we had a lot of fun here tonight. I don't even think we had to ask what we were even doing here. That's always nice. The fact of the matter is, 12 Monkeys is just not a very compelling time travel movie. The director's message is one we've heard before, and even in 1995, we kind of had good reason to doubt it. And as a film, it's just kind of hard to watch. A hell of Dutch angles, I believe is what I said.
That's not what he said.
So I hope we can use our time machine to go back and tell Gilliam to stick to funny doodles and illustration and cartoons and ignore the French stuff. Thank you.
Mr. Ryznar, please present your last Brad point.
What you have in 12 Monkeys is just a beautiful, mind-bending 90s thriller. It's a time capsule of a time long forgotten. 30 years ago, you know, we were kind of going through this weird transition between the blockbuster time of the 80s to a more confusing, more auteur-driven 70s too in the 90s. And this was just a nice little mix of those two worlds. It's a movie that wants to confuse the audience and does a great job at that. You've got upcoming star Brad Pitt being super handsome and giving a balls-to-the-wall performance that you will not forget. You get Bruce Willis at his most off balance. That throws you off and sticks with you. And then Madeline Stowe. She is the Bart the Bear of actresses. When you see her in a movie, you know it's the 90s. You know you're in for a 90s time. And this movie delivers just a beautiful piece of science fiction that is so fiction, so little science, that it just is a fun time. And if you just let it wash over you and enjoy it, let it confuse you, just enjoy the vision of a smart, interesting director putting something on the screen for you to enjoy.
Thank you all. Members of the jury, Mr. Maynard Bangs, Mr. Big Ben Haslar, and Mr. I am insane, and you are my insanity, Ryan Luis Rodriguez. You have all heard the facts concerning this case. Maybe I should have said he was the Bart the Bear of film jurors.
Oh, it's not too late.
Yeah, you should have. Too late.
Call him
You've
the
all heard the
human
facts
Dutch
concerning
angle.
this case. It is now up to you to determine if this film is guilty of being a bad movie. The bailiff will escort you to the deliberation room to render your verdict. Right this way? You know, Bruce Willis says he sees dead people in this film, yet at no point does he say yippee-ki-yay. What a crime.
All right, guys. Interesting case. What are we thinking? Ryan, what are you thinking? You were the quietest.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is one of my favorite Gilliam movies. It's definitely, I think this and Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas are kind of the end point for him, where he starts doing smaller, more manageable movies that do not do well, so he gets to make less of them, and that's a problem because even though Terry Gilliam has lately been kind of an asshole, he was always a hero of mine. But I also got to say about all this Dutch angle stuff, we're really discounting the wide angle lens when we talk about the Dutch angle, because really that makes it as weird looking as it is the wide angle lens. And I was really struck by watching it this time, realizing that this might be the most normal movie Terry Gilliam ever made, which is a weird fact to ponder.
The future is kind of weird, though. Like, the future he depicts is very Gilliam with, like, all the little magnifying glasses and stuff.
I love the Gilliam aesthetic. And I love the fact that he kept, Dylan schooled me on this, but he did not want Bruce Willis for the movie. The studio told me they had to have Bruce Willis. And the reason that he rationalized it was a scene in Die Hard where he's talking about his wife on the phone and pulling glass out of his feet. And he demonstrated such a tenderness in that moment that it made him think, well, then he can play this guy. And I think that's why Terry Gilliam got employed during the 90s, is because he had that kind of je ne sais
He owes
quoi.
it to Bruce Willis.
And I love that we actually brought up the fact that Brad Pitt did get the manic performance because Terry Gilliam took away his cigarettes. That is 100% a true story. I love the imperfect time travel process. It reminds me a lot of Looper, where they just tell you, look, time travel exists. It's not perfect, but here it is. And they don't have to
it doesn't
tell you the
matter
mechanics
how
of
they
all
do
of
it, right?
You don't need that.
Yeah, it's just the
It's
what.
like in Ghostbusters, where you give them their proton packs and their guns. You don't explain what any of them do. You just say, oh, we use these to catch ghosts. And everybody in the audience goes, yeah, of course. Yeah, catching ghosts, exactly.
Well, I mean, like things like him showing up in World War I and getting a bullet in his leg, and then all of a sudden he's in 1996, and that kind of.
I fucking love that so much.
Like, even if you don't explain how it works, like, you could still, you don't have to go completely all over.
Whether it's the character or just the voice in Bruce Willis' head, they do say it's an imperfect science, and you're lucky you didn't end up in Egyptian times. Like
right.
they miss.
That's a big miss. What are you thinking, Maynard?
I thought it was an interesting case. I think Schlenzo put up a good one against what I consider to be a pretty good movie. I mean, we have seen this before, literally in La Jetée. I mean, that I had seen that a lot back in college, but I had seen 12 Monkeys first. That's what made me see it. It's only 28 minutes, Schlenzo. I think you could have fit it.
It's all still shots. There's no forward motion.
Except for a couple where she blinks, but yeah, it's real artsy stuff, Schlenzo. You'd fall asleep. But
you needed that 20
I'm
minutes
not
for
in
another
here.
steak.
I can't hear what you're saying.
Who? I'm talking to the little mouse in the corner who happens to be named Schlenzo. Now, now I do agree with what Schlenzo says. It kind of gave up the ghost of whether he is really crazy or not, and I do kind of think the picture is to blame for that. I do think this movie it would be a little more interesting. They tease that out a little bit longer, because by the time Bruce Willis is like, yeah, maybe I am crazy, it's like, no, dude, you're not. There's a picture.
Yeah,
Everyone's seen it. I think he's also right that Bruce Willis, like, why would he, as soon as he sees that Hawaiian shirt, I don't think he would put that on, and especially wouldn't wear it for hours and hours. So I'll give him some of those points, but I can't agree with, I don't think Brad Pitt doesn't fit in here at all. I think Brad Pitt completely fits in this movie. He's supposed to be nuts, and I like JD's point too, but like, he's still sexy. Like the women gotta still have Brad Pitt here. So it's they're both compelling characters, and I don't generally care for Bruce Willis most of the time, because I don't generally care for his whole quiet stoicism outside of like maybe Pulp Fiction and obviously like Die Hard and stuff. But I really liked him here, especially when he's in the car listening to music. When he's at his most crazy and manic, he really gets there, and I believe in it. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Schlenzo's idea of like, all this is fear mongering, it was never going to come to any of that. I'm sure the dinosaurs thought that until it finally happened. Every apocalypse scenario doesn't happen till the last one. And then that one does. So, and it could come anytime. Could come tomorrow. So,
It didn't come in 95.
It did not come in 95, as far as we
saying.
know. As far
It's
as
always got to be
know.
the near future, though.
But someone will be right eventually. So it will. That's inevitable.
Star Trek will be the one that's right.
Don't cling on to it, Schlens. Don't click onto it, Ben. And Schlenzo, the little mouse in the corner. Anyway, Ben, what are you thinking?
Well, I'm mad at JD for stealing the human Dutch angle from my dating profile. He ripped that right off. No, I had thought I had seen this movie, but I was wrong. I had only seen the first act of it. And when I started watching the rest of it, I kind of thought, oh, this is what the whole film was supposed to be. Was supposed to be that, is he time traveling or is he insane? And then I kind of had that same line of thought where it's like, no, he's definitely time traveling. He kind of has to be. Mm-hmm. So I do kind of wish they stuck that landing a bit better than they did, because what I had thought in my brain and what is in that first act, it probably does work better for a short film, which probably makes sense. But I wish he would have reworked that a bit, because it does lose itself a bit in the middle, but it does find itself again at the end. Willis and Pitt are great in this movie. I love seeing these early performances of actors where you kind of before they got typecast, like now you kind of know what to expect from them. But at this point in time, it's like they could do other things, and it's kind of a shame that we didn't let them do more interesting choices. I do think there's stuff you can nitpick with. A lot of people would rate this like an 8 or 9 out of 10. I'm probably more around a 7, but still a great movie. I really enjoyed it. So I'm ready to lock in with a not guilty.
Well, I guess I will lock in. No, wait, I'm not. You're doing the voice. Brian, you got to lock in.
Okay, not guilty.
All right, very cool. So I'm also going to go not guilty. We'll call this one a unanimous, I guess. So let's get out there and tell that very handsome judge.
How often does that happen?
It's been happening a lot lately.
Mr. Foreman, have you reached a verdict?
We have, Your Honor. In the case of The People versus 12 Monkeys, we find the defendant not guilty of being a bad movie.
Yay!
How many monkeys loose in the court? You can hear them everywhere. Oh, God.
The verdict is so rendered. 12 monkeys is free to go, but since they did so well with 12, they should now be 11 monkeys because I need one of them to clean my pool. Court is adjourned.
Your Honor, you can change your dating profile to the human acute angle.
Ooh, because I'm cute.
This is Grumbly Grumblerson, a court reporter adversely affected by a biological virus that has something to do with monkeys, reporting to you live from outside the Reels of Justice. Origin story, yes! Dylan J. Schlender, you scabrous bastard. Would you care to share your thoughts on the jury's verdict?
Yes, I would, mumbly. And now I'm really nervous because you sneezed on me earlier.
It's grumbly.
What did I say?
Mumbly.
Oh, well, mumbly sneezed on me, so maybe I'm okay.
Mumbly's dead.
Oh, then who the hell sneezed on me?
Grumbly is mumbly in the future.
Oh, my God. Look, I can't say I'm terribly surprised because, honestly, the movie is pretty solid. So I really wanted to come in here. I wanted to talk about some of the things that the director was aiming for, purportedly in his own interviews, in his own words, and how he kind of fell short from those. But, when the movie's in a vacuum, I could definitely see how people would still like this. Is it going to hold up and last the test of time the way some other time travel movies are? Who's to say? But at the end of the day, I think we probably came to the right conclusion today. So I'm going to hop in my gigantic plastic tube here and time travel slightly ahead to the future for the post show. Thank you.
Thank you. And here comes J.D. Ryznar. I struggled with your case. Excuse me, can we get a word on how you feel about today's verdict?
Yeah, I feel good. I did my job. I had to defend a movie that I actually feel 51% about, so that was a little bit of a challenge. But it's still it's a movie that deserves a big smile from an audience, and it deserves a chance to be watched and should not be dismissed. So I'm happy that I did the job of the people that the people wanted, truly needed to have this movie be declared good. It's a good thing for America, USA, America.
Works for me.
Okay.
USA.
That's all we have for the courthouse today. Let's go back to the studio for post-trial analysis. I'm gonna go back in time and traumatize my past self.
There it is.
All right, really fun case. Yeah, JD, you're 51% on this movie. What did you not like about it?
Yeah,
Dutch angles.
Like I said, it was the first time I had seen it since the theaters, and I just remember it being like more dark and cool and unconventional, and really, really satisfying. I could be conflating it with another movie I saw around that time. I don't know, but it was not the
Back
movie
to the Future.
I thought it was. It wasn't that, no.
It's also Big Ben's dating profile.
But it was, it was surprisingly conventional, from what I remember it being. I just remember it being so refreshing, and there's just so many movies in the 90s that have the feel of this one. I think I was talking to Dylan, and we were trying to decide who's going to do what, and I was like, maybe 20 minutes into the movie, and I was like, I'll defend this. And as it kept going, I was like, this is going to be hard. But I did, the positives shone through for me, so I was able to do it.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting things to discuss, and I always prefer prosecuting anyway, so I was kind of relieved. I enjoy attacking things.
We know. So what's been keeping you busy, JD? What have you been up to since last time you were here?
We're just podcasting. We're doing the Beyond Yacht Rock 2000 podcast and the Yacht and Yacht podcast, and enjoying that very much. Continuing my career writing for television. Just got off a job for Sony Animation, a family animated show. A Hotel Transylvania spinoff called Motel Transylvania.
Cute.
I love those movies. The kids love them.
Well, hopefully you'll like the show as well.
100%.
There's got to be a Norman Bates spin on that, right?
Oh, I wish.
Shit, it's not too late. Cool. Let's go back.
I don't know if you've seen Hotel Transylvania, but it's wacky vampires. It's silly, wacky vampires.
I've caught part of it, but I would at least some in-joke of someone's mother living on top of the hill above the hotel above the motel would have been enough for me.
Yeah, we can't do fun stuff like that.
What? That is not true. People, have you ever seen Ren and Stimpy?
Oh God!
You can get away with a lot. Kids
well,
don't
that's
get
Ren and Stimpy.
All.
This is a very protective franchise. Sony is very
very it's got Adam Sandler and stuff. At least the films did, right?
Yeah, this is But yeah, no, it was fun though. We did get to do some fun, wacky stuff. I got
I bet
a lot of executive notes that were like, "Are we over-indexing in farts in this episode?"
Impossible.
That is a wonderful note.
Not in a protected family franchise, never.
So yeah, I wrote a couple episodes I think are really weird and unusual, and I'm proud of them. So I hope everybody likes them.
Yes.
Now, just for the folks at home, you do the Beyond Yacht Rock, and last time you were here, it was a different show. So what is Beyond Yacht Rock versus just Yacht or Nyacht?
Yeah, well, Beyond Yacht Rock was the first podcast I did with these guys. We started that about 10 years ago in the wake of the 10th anniversary of our Yacht Rock web show. And it's just where we continue making musical genres. So we create musical genres, we find patterns in popular music, and we group up some songs and call it a genre. We count down the best songs from 10 to 1. It's a nice, simple show. Here's the genre, and here's the top 10 songs. So, it's a lot of fun. Awesome. We do a ton of research. It's very informative, but we're also a bunch of sophomore goofballs and tell a lot of poop and wiener jokes as well.
You're over-indexing on fart jokes on this show, is what I've heard.
You beat me to it, Maynard. I hate that.
Our co-host is over-indexing on farts in real life, which is why our studio is called the Fart Dungeon. It's a smelly place.
And that would be former guest of the show, David Lyons.
Yeah. I'm trying to get everybody on your show. Trying to push everybody.
We had Steve. It's Hunter, ironically, is elusive.
Hunter is the white whale.
Yes.
You scared? Come on, Steve. You scared?
Oh,
What do you mean, Steve already did the show? It's Hunter.
Oh, sorry, Hunter. Sorry, yeah, I thought it was Steve Hunter.
Bullying Steve for no reason.
Well, he is the human Dutch angle.
You scared to show up twice, Steve? You scared?
There it is.
You remember Hollywood Steve? You got to say the whole thing. You got to say Hollywood Steve.
That's true.
No, that's very cool. How do you come up with a genre? Like is it any situation just become one? Like you go to your one of your kids' friends' birthday parties and you're like, kids' friend's birthday party. It's a genre. Here's what I'm playing. Here's 10 songs.
Yeah,
I think that. Yeah.
It could be as simple as that. It could be more complicated. It could be based on lyrics. It could be based on chart performance. It could be based on what the music sounds like.
Failed music is a genre. Chart performance.
1992 Honda Civic songs. Yeah.
I listen to a song like say there's a genre I'm working on right now. I think the song "Rock and Roll Heaven" by the Righteous Brothers is stupid. Right? It's so dumb. The way that it calls out all these dead rockers. Oh, it must be a hell of a band in heaven. And it made me think, are there other songs like that? And I started to look for songs that, kind of list dead people and celebrate them. But what I found is there's just a lot of artists that do what I call parasocial eulogies for artists that they didn't know at all and write these
parasocial eulogies
about
that's the name of the genre, right?
That's the name of the genre. So then I just go around and start looking for songs where artists are paying tribute to an artist they never met before. And it's tricky with famous musicians because it's like, say, for example, say this isn't true, but say like Bob Dylan never met John Lennon, but his buddy Tom Petty was best friends with him, and maybe they met once. Is the tribute song that he wrote to him parasocial? So.
You got to put it at like number 10 then, his edge case.
Right, yeah. It also gives you sort of like criteria in which to rank them because that's not a sonic genre, these songs all sound different from one another, so there's not a commonality there.
And pretty much every new country song mentions George Jones, so if you're missing a few, you probably could find like 3 country songs that will fill that bill, man.
Oh, okay, great.
That's awesome. No, and this seems like a great way to explore music if you're looking to just, get more into music and get exposed to artists you maybe never even heard of. This sounds like a great way to just blind run into new things you never heard of.
Yeah, there's 4 hosts, and we all take turns, hosting the show and coming up with a genre. So I learned so much from my co-hosts. I've been turned on to so much music that way. And even better, our other podcast, Yacht or Nyacht, is basically people write in and ask if a song is yacht rock or not. It's as simple as that.
Schlender does it all the time. He writes in.
But I've been turned on to so much music through that podcast. I think a lot of our audience has too. And it's not all yacht rock. A lot of it doesn't make the boat, as we call it. Yeah, but it's still like awesome and turns me on to something new and gets me really, really into something. So I enjoy that a lot. I mean, I just have an inbox full of like really good music recommendations. That's
Final Countdown's got to be Yacht, right? I mean, it's got to be.
Oh God, no. Please.
It depends on.
But JD, you've done a real service for like Roby Duke. Now everyone knows who he is.
Well, yes,
Roby Duke is
Roby Duke the other day.
Yeah, he's a Christian artist. He's a jolly looking guy with a beard, and he's got a parakeet on his shoulder on the album cover. He looks so happy, but he's a contemporary Christian artist, and his music's all about Jesus. But man, the guy has a soulful voice, and his music is smooth and has a nice yacht rock bounce, and he is just good. And it shocks me every time. A lot of those Christian songs are super milquetoast they're yacht rock, but they're so boring. But like his music moves me to the point where I'm almost a Christian.
And you wouldn't. I don't think you would know it too unless someone pointed it out to you too. Then you can hear it, and it's like, oh, okay. But it's pretty ambiguous. Yeah,
because you're just grooving. That happens a lot with good Christian yacht rock. Is you're grooving, and all of a sudden they're like Jesus, and you're fuck.
Yeah.
Damn it! It's not
listen to it again.
You wake up.
I don't know what I was
baptized.
expecting. The guy's name is Chris Christian, for crying out loud. No.
More people need parakeets on their shoulders.
Exactly. Good job, Ben. That's what people needed, the parakeets. That was the thing to focus on.
For your dating profile.
Yes.
Oh, it's on there. It's on there. Is that it's tilted?
Angle.
It's askew.
Exactly, askew.
Touch angle of Ben with a parakeet.
Yeah. See, people would be swiping. Which is the
Up?
good one? And left, right. Which way are you supposed to swipe?
Right's the good one.
Swiping right.
Oh.
There you go. Swipe right on Big Ben. Now, JD, we always ask for recommendations from our guests for movies you think people should see. So, what is a movie you think people should see?
All right, so we're signing into Letterboxd. All right.
Okay, here we go.
I never remember movies I see when I'm demanded to recommend things. So this is why I love this website and app so much.
Yeah, we have our own. You can see all the movies anyone's ever recommended.
Oh, really?
Yes, your recommendations and all your prior ones and this one will live forever on our letterbox. So you're gonna be held to it.
Now,
Ben Haslar's. Yes.
Am I supposed to give one movie?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Any movie doesn't even have to be related. Just a movie you think people should see.
Okay. All right. So a movie that I saw recently that really surprised me was Love and Basketball. You guys seen this picture?
Yep. In the 90s.
I have not. Oh,
Ryan
Ryan's
has.
seen them all.
Yeah, Ryan sees everything.
Love and Basketball is just about, it's a story about two young black kids in Los Angeles, middle upper class black kids who are good at basketball, and it's all about their love story from when they're 11 to when they're in their 20s. And it's told in quarters. But the thing that makes this movie special is just well, first of all, it's just super well done. It's the performances are just fantastic. And the actress isn't that well known. It's
Sanaa Lathan.
yeah.
She's amazing.
She's amazing. I'd never really seen. I mean, she's been in a ton of things. Maybe I've seen her in things, but never clicked. But then Omar Epps is really good. If you can get past the fact that he's like 5'8" and is supposed to be an NBA player. Just a lot of everybody in the movie is famous or is about to be famous. Alfre Woodard, Regina Hall, Dennis Haysbert, just before he played President 24. Just like a really solid romantic movie. Did you guys watch Challengers?
I did, yeah.
Yes, I did.
It gave me Challengers vibes. It didn't have that same level of like cool, but as far as like an engrossing kind of romantic, Challengers is a little more bitter than this movie is. This movie's Love and Basketball is more earnest, but just like an engrossing sports romance with like really great characters that kind of stick to your ribs. Really good show.
Well, stick to your ribs characters. I like that.
That's good. That's good.
That's good. Schlenzo, what have you got for us?
Well, Maynard, in keeping with the time travel theme of this evening, I'm recommending a 2022 sci-fi thriller called Brightwood. Get this. A couple goes for a jog on a local trail only to find themselves trapped in some kind of time loop. And what's more, there seems to be malevolent beings that mean them harm. The acting here is not particularly solid, I'll be honest with you, and the whole story would work better as an episode of an anthology horror program such as The Twilight Zone, because it really struggles to pad out the runtime for a feature-length film, and the ending is a bit of a thud. Still, it's on Tubi, so it'll cost you nothing but your time, and I would be interested in watching further works from Dane Eclair, the writer-director, as he probably has cooler ideas lurking somewhere in the back of his noggin.
Mostly stuff with Bart the Bear.
We can only hope.
No, I don't think he works anymore, unfortunately.
Oh, no.
He's retired, though. To
Oh, that's good.
Farm
On
upstate.
a farm upstate.
Yeah, exactly. You can visit him sometimes, Schlenzo.
Have you guys seen, speaking of time loop movies, have you seen Palm Springs, the Andy Samberg movie?
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
yeah, that's great.
That was
funny.
such a surprise. I didn't know what I was going to get out of that movie. I didn't even know it was a time loop movie when I sat down to it. And
I didn't either.
it was great. It was so much fun. I liked it a lot.
I will have to check that out. I'm the only one who didn't see that one.
How you like it, Maynard? Lots of robots.
Ooh. Big Ben, what have you got?
Continuing in my walk-emendations, a journey into Chinese cinema, I give you a film I almost didn't watch, Nausea 2. Highly rated on Letterboxd, but hiding behind the prerequisite of having to see the lower-rated first film, I can confirm, at least for myself, one is harder to get through. It's juvenile, riddled with manic speech and toilet humor. I really had no inclination to see more. But I had them both downloaded on my phone and I was stuck in an airport, so I persisted. The second one does pretty much everything better from the outset. Nausea, a child infused with a demon pearl, and Ao Bing, his yin-yang counterpart, embark on a series of trials that put them at odds with the holy conservative gods. In doing so, it ends up being much more nuanced in an exploration of the nature of morality and rebellion against a powerful state that is set in the past. After all, if your world is one in which not everyone can live, does it really need to exist, or does it need to be reformed so that everyone can live in it? I think this butted right up against Chinese censorship, but still managed to land some serious punches, much like that fantastic animated fantasy duel at the end on screen. This is a sequel that looks at what the first one did and correctly decides to just unleash every fantastic concept they can incorporate.
Cool.
How do you spell that?
Nezha.
Yep.
2 words.
N-A.
Yeah.
Oh, is that that?
N-E space N-Z-H-A. Yeah, they pronounce it nausea, but it's spelled like Niza.
Yeah. This is the highest grossing movie of all time, right? That's what Nausea 2
is. It's up
for
there.
China, yeah.
I've heard the same thing, that Nausea is kind of hard to follow, but Nausea 2 is great. They're both on my list.
I heard that Nausea 1
Hope you
was
like it.
nauseous. So don't see that one.
Seems like it over-indexed for fart joke.
That's exact. I was trying to think of the over-index. I'm like, what's that word he used?
It does. The first one does over-index on the poop humor.
My recommendation today also involves going back in time, sort of, to prevent a terrible catastrophe, kind of. It's 2011 Source Code. A wounded veteran finds himself an unwilling participant in an experimental government program that drops him in a simulation of a recent terrorist attack in order to identify the perpetrator. The simulation is based on the last 8 minutes of memory of one of the victims, which kind of reminds me of that scene in Wild Wild West where they can see the last viewed image of a dead man, in that it's fucking impossible, but fun. The soldier, played by Jake Gyllenhaal in his Jarhead vibe, has to play the scenario out over and over again, some more time loops, trying to gather clues before his 8 minutes is up and he explodes again. So this is a great movie if you want to see Jake Gyllenhaal get killed over and over and over, like an adrenaline rush Groundhog's Day. The rest of the cast is terrific, featuring Michelle Monaghan at her loveliest, Vera Farmiga at her most exasperatedly pursed, and the incomparable Jeffrey Wright at his most incomparable. Now, I could see this thing getting its own day in court, honestly, as some of the sci-fi elements lean more into fantasy. But it is only 90 minutes, so if you want to catch up on it before its inevitable trial, it is currently streaming on Tubi. Maybe this does deserve a trial.
90 minutes, but it's the same 8 minutes for 90 minutes.
Correct. It's not exactly the same. The characters do different things. They kind of respond.
I remember digging this, but
I love Source Code.
It could be a fun case.
No, I liked it. But it's like you said with 12 Monkeys, like the time travel stuff, or in this case, the simulation stuff doesn't hold up to any scrutiny. Like it's impossible. Like who cares how it works at all? But yeah, the ending might be just total fantasy, but it gives you a good feel, I guess. Ryan, why don't you send us on home?
My truck-commendation this week is the latest film from Jafar Panahi, 2025's It Was Just an Accident. It's about former political prisoners in Iran who think that they've encountered one of their abusers and decide to kidnap him. It raises serious moral questions about the nature of revenge, and at several intervals encourages the audience to think about whether or not the accused abuser is even guilty of anything. This was my second Panahi film, a man who made this picture in secret due to the Iranian government banning him from working, but you can never tell. I'm not sure if I prefer this or No Bears, but it's riveting and unnerving, and it took home the Palme d'Or, so that means it's good, right? Amazingly enough, out of all the prestigious services you can subscribe to, It Was Just an Accident is currently streaming on Hulu. Support your local library.
Well, so if it has no bears, Bart the Bear's not in it, it's probably not as good as this.
Wait, I thought it was just an accident or no bears?
It was just an accident that there were no bears in the movie, is what I took away from this.
Which one did you recommend, Ryan?
It was just
an accident.
I recommended
Okay.
No Bears like 2 years ago.
Exactly. So this is the return of Jafar, right?
Rumor
there
gets
it is.
on bears.
There it is.
Okay.
All right, we're out of time. Get this
And
guy
with
out
that, we are all out of show. But we want to thank our guest, JD Ryznar, for joining us. Thank you so much, JD.
Hey, no problem. I like that sentiment. Support your local library. It's where I get my DVDs. It's my new Netflix.
Yeah, way cheaper.
All right, now here's the following reasons I don't like supporting my local library.
No. We're going to have you back, JD. It's going to be very cool. We can't wait to. And we hope
See you
everyone
next
else
week.
will join us as well. Yes, absolutely. Ben, you're out. You're out.
Woohoo,
You're
I'm free.
The human Dutch angle. He's got to start his dating profile life now. But we hope everyone else will join us again as well as the Reels of Justice keep turning.
Count it.
Dutch Angles.
Please follow us on Twitter at Reels of Justice, Instagram Reels of Justice, and Facebook.com/Reels of Justice.